Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. As we know, fleet carriers are coming in the December update, and today at Gamescom, Frontier revealed some new details on how they would work, along with revealing the new player-owned huge support vessels that will be accompanying the carriers. On screen right now, you can see the Gamescom fleet carrier trailer playing. It gives us our first real clear view of the carriers and also highlights 3 of the support vessels. Carriers can be configured into different roles, allowing support for a variety of different activities, and these include bounty hunting, mercenary, pirate, trader, smuggler, miner, explorer, as well as search and rescue. Meanwhile, all carriers will offer rearm, refuel and repair services. However, it won't be possible to directly pilot the carriers. Essentially, they are huge capital ship-styled vessels that once deployed will remain stationary until you next jump them. They also don't have a bridge that can be visited, but that said, players will have the ability to move the carriers via the 500 light-year ranged hyperspace jump. The jump can be set and scheduled from the galaxy map, and the jump itself will require fuel, which will come in the form of a new collectible resource. So basically, you'll need to go and collect a bunch of stuff for each jump. How often carriers can jump and whether or not the jump takes place during server downtime is still unknown at the moment. However, given the fact that both of the trailers for the carriers show the vessels using the capital class jump drives in real time, my bet is that carriers will be able to jump during live play, but we'll have to see. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The name fleet carrier has always kind of been open to interpretation, and I suspect most people have assumed it means carriers that belong to the fleet, with the fleet in this case meaning squadron. Essentially, ever since fleet carriers were announced all the way back during the Frontier Expo 2017, most discussions I've seen online have assumed that fleet carriers are basically squadron carriers. And to be fair, all the information that's so far come from Frontier, at least up until this point, has kind of established that is exactly the case. But it turns out that actually isn't the case. The most accurate term here then is personal fleet carriers. Each player can own a single fleet carrier, and Frontier have stated that these will cost a large amount of credits. However, as yet they haven't placed a value upon them. Personally, I'd be very surprised then if they are not valued in the billions of credits range. The carriers would also be available to all players of Elite Dangerous, and they do not require you to have horizons. In terms of size, they total 16 landing pads, composed of 8 large, 4 medium and 4 small. You'll also be able to set permissions on your carrier that will allow other players to land on them if you so choose. So I think the most surprising thing about all of this, at least for me, are the support vessels. So far we've seen 3 variants, and it's possible that these 3 variants will be used to cover the 8 different roles that Frontier listed. After all, there's certainly overlap on these roles. For example, mercenary, bounty hunting and pirates would likely have very similar requirements and probably use the same support ship. The same could also be said for mining and trading. Exploration vessels would also possibly share overlap with the search and rescue. My point here then is that whilst Frontier have listed 8 different functions for support vessels, there may ultimately only be 3 variants of ships. Speculation of course, as it's equally possible that there are more vessels or more variants that will be revealed in the future. Now, what these support vessels do is pretty much unknown. We do know, however, the following. When a player configures their fleet carrier's role, this will determine which support vessels are used. Where and how these will be configured is something that Frontier will be showing at a later date. Support vessels themselves will accompany their parent carrier at all times, so when the carrier jumps, the support ships will jump along with them. In terms of combat and similar activities, fleet carriers are not destructible. Also, only one carrier can be present in an instance at any time, so there won't be any carrier-to-carrier battles. That said, carriers do require upkeep, and Frontier have said that this is something they will be talking about in more details over the coming months. Overall then, it seemed to me at least that fleet carriers are going to be something very much a focus for players in the later parts of the game. They require a huge number of credits, so it's likely that these are aimed at players that have already gone and done everything else within the game. In short, it's going to be something new for players who have already done everything. The fact that they are classified as personal fleet carriers speaks volumes to me. Their function within the game isn't to serve as a base for large squadrons, although they will certainly be capable of that. The squadrons will no doubt also be able to field a vast number of fleet carriers into multiple different roles. But really, it seems their focus is aimed primarily at the individual player, much in the same manner as all the other ships within the game. Personally, I think this is fantastic. Elite has always been about making your way through the galaxy, progressing from the lone sidewinder towards ever more powerful ships, both in terms of size and engineering. Fleet carriers, as well as support ships, add a whole new dimension to this, and likely explain why over recent times, earning credits and making overall progress has become far easier. Anacondas, federal corvettes and the like are no longer going to be the final goal. My assumption here, and this is just personal opinion, is that the large 3 ships have now been moved to the mid-tier range in terms of player progression, and gameplay has already been adjusted to reflect that. How all of this will affect the overall game, however, is still very much a big question. In fact, the whole idea of fleet carriers and support vessels raises a lot of so far unanswered questions. For example, will they be persistent? That is to say, will they remain in the game when you log off? It seems likely to me that they will be persistent simply based on the fact that other players can dock at them. And there's a really good example here. Say for example a friend docks at your carrier and you log off and they also log off. What happens if they next log on before you do? Where would they be if there was no carrier there? So to me it suggests maybe persistent. I'd be quite surprised if not actually. But unfortunately that is still guesswork. Ultimately the answer is that at the moment we don't know. Meanwhile, support ships also bring up a huge number of questions. Firstly, what is their function? Will a mining vessel, for example, help people mine more or quicker? If so, what knock-on effect would that have on the rate at which credits can be earned? Alternatively, do support vessels simply act as a visual clue as to what services are available at the parent fleet carrier? In this theoretical scenario, support vessels wouldn't actually do anything physical. Instead, they would just be an indicator as to whether the fleet carrier offers mining modules, combat modules, or whatever else. At the moment, all of this is speculation and guesswork. However, Frontier have stated that more information will be coming after the September update. So there we have it then, fleet carriers in December along with support ships, and these are all multi-role as well. If Frontier handle this in the right way, this could open up Elite Dangerous into a whole new direction and offer a lot of new possibilities. Let's see where it goes. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.